Hello friends, in this particular video we are going to see how exactly our EJB and persistence work together. So normally whenever we say persistence, it is nothing but memory. So we have already seen how exactly our JDBC works. So in JDBC we are making use of the statement objects, prepared statement and callable statement for working with the database queries for DML and DDL statements. But whenever we are coming into entity bean, that is persistence, which is related with the persistence, so there we make use of the inbuilt query mechanisms provided by the enterprise Java bean in the form of entity bean. So here all the integration part of Java persistence is nothing but a simple plain old Java object, which is having all the rules and regulations working with the relational database. So by this mechanism we are almost comfortable or most comfortable to deal with these particular type of queries in Java because they are completely plain old Java objects. So additionally we can form even the complex relationships between the entity types, allowing us to form object graph, view of database schema and so on by making use of the entity bean. So which will help with the organizations and to achieve the performance optimizations and keep the things running efficiently. So next, when what we are talking about is persistence, that is nothing but entity manager. So when we are talking about the entity manager, it is nothing but entity bean. So persistence is a key piece of the Java Enterprise platform. Then persistence provides an ease of use abstraction on point of JDBC so that our code may be isolated from the database and the vendor specific peculiarities and optimizations. So whenever we are trying to make use of any JDBC programs, we see that we are making use of get connection method, wherein we are trying to give the JDBC type depending upon what type of application we are trying to make use of. But when we are trying to make use of the EJB in the form of entity bean, then we don't need to worry about the vendor specific optimizations or peculiarities on whatsoever. So the entity manager or the entity bean manager itself will be held responsible for all these type of optimizations and efficiency related problems with respect to database oriented problems. So we can also describe the entity manager as object to relational mapping engine, or in short ORM, so which is completely absent in JDBC. There we see everything in the form of tables or in the form of data, but here when we are working with the entity manager, we talk everything with respect to objects, because the bean whatever we are trying to create, the variables, all the variables are created in the form of one table. So this persistence entity manager also provides us with a query language that is similar to our SQL language, and that is tailored to work with the Java objects rather than a relational schema. So it works similar to our Java objects, not like our relational schema. Relational schema, we have the tables which are there inside the database, but here the Java objects itself are the tables. So we have to highlight the things that whenever we are trying to work with respect to objects, then it is better to go for entity manager rather than going for normal JDBC, which is relational or relational schema oriented type of programming. Now entities are nothing but plain old Java objects. So let us see one example here wherein we are trying to make use of plain old Java objects for persistence specification. So here we are using two import statements in the form of persistence.entity and persistence.id, and we are making use of at the rate of entity annotation, which says that this particular class is nothing but a entity bean. And here we are making use of one class called as employee, and employee will be making use of id, which is in the form of private long id, which will be the id of a particular data variable, or I can say a particular tuple inside the database. So here I am trying to specify in the form of id at the rate of id in the form of annotation to say that this particular long id is nothing but our id or primary key of our table. Then we have name of the employee, which is written by using a string name. Then we have public employee, which is a constructor, Then we have one more constructor which is parameterized constructor. Then we have the set methods for setting the ID, and retrieving the ID we have get ID. Then we have set ID for setting the ID of it. Then we have the get name and the set name functions which are used for reading and writing towards the name of that particular employee. Then we are making use of toString method to print the object directly with the ID and the name. So this is our plain old Java class. So if we allocate instances of this employee class, no magic happens when new is invoked. Calling the new operator does not magically interact with some underlying service to create the employee in the database. This is just an object. So employee hero equals to new employee, 1L is our ID, tree Anastasio is our string. So allocated instances of the customer class remain plain old Java objects until you ask the entity manager to create the entity inside the database. So as soon as we make use of the entity calling for creating this particular variable inside the database, then new table will be created by using the name of employee, using the table name as employee with 1L as the ID and tree Anastasio as the name of that particular string, or name of that particular employee with the string whatever we have given. So this is the user's duty to make sure that we are making use of the creating the table inside the function. So we need to call it using the entity manager, and sometimes entity can be managed by even the user, and sometimes it has to be managed by the entity bean. So an entity bean instance is either managed by an entity manager or unmanaged, or it is detached from the entity manager where user has to make all the necessary changes whatever he has to make with the entity management. So when an entity is attached to an entity manager, the manager tracks state changes to the entity and synchronizes those changes to the database. Whenever the entity manager decides to flush its state, when an entity is detached, it is unmanaged, and any state changes to an entity that is detached are not tracked by the entity manager. So it says that whenever we are making use of the manage entity, then the manager or the entity manager tracks the state changes whatever we are trying to do, and after making use of all the changes, whenever I am trying to close that particular entity, then it decides to flush everything into the database when it is a managed entity bean. If it is not managed, then it is not the responsibility of the entity manager to do all this. The user has to track all the changes. Then we need to see even the persistence context. So a persistent context is nothing but a set of managed entity object instances. So persistent contexts are managed by an entity manager. So this is the discussion of the previous slide itself. So all the things whatever we have discussed in the previous slide, they are being mentioned here. So broadly speaking, there are two types of persistence context. One is transaction scoped and one more is extended persistence context. So whenever we are working with a transaction scoped persistence, we see that everything executed in between must either fully succeed or fully fail, and state changes made within the transaction are visible elsewhere in the system only when the AND boundary completes the operation successfully. It is something like whenever we are trying to save anything inside the database in the form of many batches, then if the first batch has successfully completed and in the middle if some batch is not been completed, then we have to terminate or roll back everything whenever it is failing in between. Similarly, transaction scoped persistence also, if there is any problem in between, then automatically all the data whatever we have sent in the transaction scoped persistence will be rolled back to the initial stage before it was connected to the database. So it is completely opposite whenever we are trying to work with the extended persistence. So when we are using the persistence context, it may live as long as the transaction and be closed when transaction completes. So persistence context managed by the application server, and some may be transaction scoped. So to how to mention with this, so we have to make use of @ of persistent context and create the entity managers object, wherein we are using public function for employee, which is the return type, get the world's best guitarist. Then we are using all the find function and set name function. So we are trying to find the function. This find function is query function, which automatically calls the query for finding the employee with the class of whatever we have given. So tray.set name Ernest Joseph Anastasio 3. So this particular query finds the employee called as Trey. Then he will it will just update the name by making use of Ernest Joseph Anastasio and return the customer. So similarly, whenever we are trying to make use of the extended persistence context, the context will be configured to live longer than a transaction. So it is called as extended persistence context. So here we just make use of employee page my kernel. These are some object declarations. Then we are starting the transaction here. Then we are making use of extended entity manager dot find, and in the previous situation we just used entity manager dot find, and here we are using extended entity manager, which signifies that we are using extended persistence context. Then transaction dot commit, then transaction dot begin. Then we are making use of make kernel set name as Leo. Then we are using again flushing statement for flushing all the data or the changes to the database manually. Then we are committing the statement. So in the previous example, we don't need to make use of all the entity manager with extended, and here also we don't need to begin or and commit the transactions. So this is something with respect to extended persistence context. So detached entities. So detached entities is nothing but entities instances become unmanaged and detached when the transaction scope or extended persistent context ends. So we have already dealt with this, that is unmanaged entity is also called as detached entity. So packaging a persistence unit.